Morning guys, it's Ian at SS8000 Cars and we're back on the channel again, largely infrequently these days, but we're doing our best. Today I've got for you the latest version of the standard Macan. So the 4-cylinder, 2 litre, 265 PS baseline Macan, 20-inch alloys, and quite a number of choice extras, I'd say, on it. I suppose the question is, and I have put this before, what is different about the latest Macan? Because they've had quite a few different reiterations of the car in the last 3 or 4 years. This may well be the last one before they go to electric. I know that the Macan is going to electric. What I'm not completely sure about, but I understand, is that the Macan will also be petrol. So you'll have a choice between either an electric Macan or a petrol Macan. I'm hoping that's the case, because the petrol engine, the 4-cylinder engine, is actually quite nice. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the Golf R, which believe it or not we still have, and it's got a nice rasp at the top end. It revs freely throughout the rev range, right up to the sort of the 7,500 rev range, and it's a very nice car to drive. You know, they've got the balance between the suspension being taut, so you don't actually lean in corners, and also they've also got the compliancy that you want in a car like this. I mean, I've driven it quite a few miles, and you always get out of it reasonably fresh. Now, whether that would be true of a 500-mile journey or not is probably only checkable when you've actually done it. You'll recognise the car immediately, but I think the 21-22 version, they have cleaned up quite nicely at the front. Maybe notwithstanding the adaptive cruise control, which they've stuck right in the middle of the grille. I think on the Panamera it's a bit neater because it's on either side of the front spoiler, so you're not quite so conscious of it. Perhaps it's the limitations of an older design, because clearly this car has been out for a while. So broadly speaking, what is different about the Macan, other than stylistic changes, which really haven't changed the panels in any way? What is different about this car? Well, I would say very little. They have definitely cleaned it up. So they now have the bands along the bottom of the doors. They have a sort of a carbony type crinkle effect, not carbon. I liked the car. The one I had, which was the turbo, had 21-inch rims, and I actually thought that the 21-inch rims were slightly oversized for the size of the car. These are 20-inch, that's 2 65s at the front and 2 95s at the back. So they're sizable tyres, but I think the 20-inch rims actually suit the car quite nicely. And you've all seen before, they redid the lights at the back of the Macan about 3 or 4 years ago. But again, we've got the crinkly effect down round the diffuser area, although it's not really a diffuser. Really chunky exhaust, which I like. I want to say they look really nice. And this is in Crayon, and I quite like the Crayon. Funnily enough, my wife doesn't like the Crayon, so it's obviously one of those colours that's a bit Marmite. Some people like it and some people don't. But it is a very, very, very well finished and I'd say well designed machine. And that's been the case right from the very beginning, because really the shape of the Macan from when I had it, which is probably going back 6 years ago, hasn't changed very much. I mean, the panels are the same. Lots of things I like about the panels. They've obviously still retained the single clamshell for the bonnet, which I rather like. Tidied up the lights, but because they're behind a single glass cover, I'm not absolutely sure you notice that. The real changes are on the inside, and some of them you've already seen and some of them are new to this model. We've got the touch sensitive middle center console. Now, to be honest with you, I quite like the original, which was a load of touch buttons. It could look a little confusing sometimes when you were trying to hit the right button instantly, but I don't know. I mean, I like the centre console in the Macan, but I again slightly preferred the old Panamera centre console as well, which again was sort of, as Jeremy Clarkson might say, festooned with buttons. New steering wheel, so new generation of steering wheel. The difference is the drive mode, which is situated in the right hand lower spokes, and that allows you to play between normal, sport, sport plus and individual. So that's something that we haven't had before. Quite like it. They've not gone completely over to keyless entry. This is still a key, fits nicely into the ignition, and manual lights, as I have on my GT3. Now, as you probably know, the new generation of Porsches, they've all gone over to the touch buttons, so you can't really switch the lights off for any more than short periods of time, and they come on automatically. Button for the boot is actually below the rear windscreen wiper, and again, it's exactly as you would expect. It's a nice area, get lots of stuff in here. Dog if you have one. Not going to dwell too much on the inside of the car, but again, it's nicely finished. This one doesn't have any of the extra leather, but the seat facings are leather. What it's missing is the stitching on top of the doors, and the door cards are not leather. As you can see, the central screen is as they changed before, so we've got the widescreen for both the sat nav and the full entertainment center, but also all your car information is now on the system as well, which I'll do a quick run through in a second. This one has the panoramic roof, which I rather like. I've always liked panoramic roofs, as you know, and this one opens rather than being a fixed roof, unlike the Taycan, which of course is a fixed roof. So if I open the bonnet, you'll see what I mean about it's a huge area. Now, to be truthful, I cannot remember how to open this, so bear with me a second. There we go. I mean, it looks a little lost in there, the 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, doesn't it? I think my 2.9 twin turbo looked a little more interesting. But there you go. You know, it does the job. 0 to 60 in about 6.4, so not that fast, but fast enough, I think, for 99.9% of people's everyday needs. And I haven't had this on a track, but if you are interested in track work and you're just going to have one car, I actually think you could take this on the track. I think it's rather nice in that respect. But I like the single clamshell, and I also like the way that it opens up for the lights, which are fixed on the almost on the side wings, I suppose. There we go. Just let it go down. There is the adaptive cruise control sensor. Probably less said about that the better. But it's one of very few points on the whole car that actually irritate. I like the wheels as well, as it happens. So if we sit in the car briefly, you can see that the other thing about it is we still have analog dials in front of us. As you know, the Panamera and the new 992 Carrera 2 and Carrera 2S, Carrera 4 and the like have all gone digital displays, except for the central rev counter. And this car, they seem to be doing bit by bit. So we first had the widescreen, and then we had but we retained the buttons on the center console, and then we had then we've got the touch button on the center console, but retaining the manual lights and the key. But we've also got the touch screen on the infotainment center. So it's very easy to control, and all your information is where you want it. Just back to the next thing. You've got a lot of configurable information in here. We've got some settings in vehicle itself as well. Go back, we've got on the drive mode on the steering wheel, if I show you, comes up with the Sport Plus and individual, and scroll, it's also over here, scrolls round and then back to normal. The other thing about this car that's really nice is the size. You know, it's not too big. I had a Cayenne coupe on test about 4 or 5 months ago, and I really like the car, beautifully finished. Just a little big for me. I mean, if you think about it, the test I always do is to sit straight in the driver's seat and put your hand out towards the passenger's door, and if you're touching the passenger's door, then it's quite a small car. So for example, in the Mini Cooper S we had, you'd be touching against that. You're very close to touching against the door in the 911991 GT3 I have. You're very, very close. I like small cars, but also when you're driving every day, and I'm up in London a lot and taking people out for dinner, I like to have enough room for 4. And you know, there's a decent amount of space in this, in my opinion. I think it's certainly tons for me. The Panamera is probably a little bit big, but somehow I'm used to the Panamera, and actually for such a big car, it's incredibly taut and well controlled. So I sort of put up with that, and you get a lot of luxury in the Panamera. Switch it off. You can see it's revved to 7. It will rev past 7, but it won't go through to 8. Interested to know what you think of the Crayon, actually. I think as long as you've got lots of black on it, it really sets off the Crayon quite nicely. I saw a Panamera in Crayon the other day, and I thought it looked really smart. Fuel consumption, I'm getting about 34-35 out of it, which, I mean, is fairly decent. For what is still quite a heavy car. It's heading towards 2 tons. Used to be, I think when I had mine it was 1890, and I think it's a little bit more than that now. Guys, I hope it really meant to be just a short video to give you an indication of the latest version of the Macan. This is Porsche's top selling brand, so incredibly important to the Porsche name and to the company, makes more profit than any of the others. So I think, you know, from that perspective, it's absolutely crucial, and it's going to be crucial that they get the replacement, both electric and petrol car. If that's what turns out to happen, they get that absolutely right. Okay guys, well listen, thank you for watching. Very brief video, as I said. Catch you very soon. Thank you very much.